What up, what up, what up?
What's happening with you, man? How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, wonderful. Welcome to Sunday night service.
We back again. Tap in. Say hi to y'all. Say hi. Tap in.
Welcome to Religiously Incorrect podcast for October 1st, my brother.
Ooh, my goodness.
2023.
It's almost over. We are, first of all, brought to you today by the African American Community Fund. The African American Community Fund, established in 2020, at the foundation of Appalachian, Ohio, supports Black-led and Black-serving organizations throughout the 32 counties of Appalachian, Ohio, to elevate the quality of life and address disparities in African American communities. Check them out at www.appalachianohio.org, AACF 740-753-1111. Listen, you might be living in Appalachia. You don't know.
You are in Appalachia.
If you're in Trumbull County, you are.
Everywhere is Appalachia in your heart.
Right.
Appalachia goes with you. What's up, Elder Carter? Pastor Carla? Janice has reappeared. Janice has reappeared. She was gone for 2 weeks. Big L said he unfollowed her. He couldn't take no more. Oh my goodness. No, we're ignoring that person.
It's those. They wanted a job. They went to audition. Man.
Hey, they might get a job because we're going on strike. You might be a scab. Only person y'all missing is Mo. Hey, you might be a scab. You had to cross the picket line to get in here. Hey. Hey, ain't that the worst, Pastor Tatum, when you actually make the effort to come to night service and the church ain't there?
That's horrible.
She said, I came to Sunday night service smelling like chicken and perfume, and nobody was there.
The church was closed.
And the church was closed. The church was closed. Well, you know, we're up in here. We're back. We took a week off because I had to go preach in Canton. Mm-hmm. And Jeff, what were you up to? What were you doing?
I don't know. My leg was probably hurt. Let's just go with that.
Jeff's getting old. Jeff's getting old. He needs a prayer.
I gotta have surgery on Thursday, y'all. So I need
having surgery on Thursday.
I need y'all to pray for a brother. I have to have surgery. I'm going up under the knife. You know, people always say that.
If I had some oil, I would anoint you, but all I got is some WD-40 in the trunk. So that's
all everybody else uses anyway.
They use that Pompeii.
I got this anointed oil from the lands of Israel. No, you didn't.
Actually, I did.
I believe you did.
But it probably came from China. They upsold me so bad. It was like, this is the original oil that the woman poured on Jesus' feet.
Straight that fried chicken Crisco.
This is right out the alabaster box. This
is that flourless chicken. Flourless chicken.
Stop talking. Okay, do I need to put this video up of Jeff eating all my flourless chicken?
Hey, it was good to the mug.
He was killing that chicken too. Nothing but bones. Nothing but bones.
Look, Elder Carter said unemployment. I'm fired already. Mariah, you just moved up, babe.
Mariah's in there while Jeff is on the mend. We'll probably have to have a guest. We'll probably have to have a guest next week.
I don't know, because they did say I would be able to walk out.
We're going to wheel this brother up in here. We don't care.
Hey,
we're going to do like to do it work.
Hey, remember Michael Jackson dance when he was in the wheelchair?
When you was in the chair? If you did that one jerk and everybody went crazy? That's a real superstar right there. Let me know when Beyonce can do that. Yeah, I'm ready for you, Bayhive. What? I'm ready for you. Well, hey, man, we ain't joking, man. The whole world is on strike. The whole world is on strike.
They are.
GM, Ford, Stellantis, the writers, I guess they have a deal. The actors are still on strike.
I'm trying to figure that out.
Everybody's on strike.
I'm trying to figure that out. They wanted AI to literally make a whole season of episodes. I mean,
who is they? The studios.
Yeah, the studios.
Well, I don't know if they wanted. Did they want that, or was that just like a fear that they didn't want that to happen?
Well,
like
I heard that's what they wanted. That's. Now I'm talking about from the AFI-CIO, whatever is
that ain't no actors union.
He's over the union, right?
That's Sonny Morgan's union. No. That's Tim Collier's union. That is Warren, Ohio unions.
No.
They're not over the actors.
No, I know they ain't over, but I'm just saying he was talking about.
Because if they are, I need Tim and Sonny to bring.
I'm not talking about Tim and Sonny. I'm talking about the Secretary Treasurer who was at the Black the civil rights caucus the other day.
Oh, okay.
He is the big guy. So he was talking about how they wanted it.
So big ups to Sonny Morgan. You're our secretary treasurer, and Tim Callahan. They are the union champions here. So they were saying that they wanted to use AI to write whole shows. Well, because it's possible. It's possible.
That's the point I was making. That's crazy.
You can take somebody's body of work, like Shonda Rhimes, and you can take the scripts that she has written or her writers have written, and they can recreate new episodes based off that style of writing, okay? In that voice. You can write, you can do like, write me an episode of Martin in the style of like a famous writer or something like that. And
Mike,
they can produce something.
You got it?
Do I got what?
The AI thing, whatever it's called.
The chat thing?
The chat GPT.
Yeah, I got it. I don't use it that
Write
much.
the next 3 episodes of Religiously Incorrect.
Okay, well, I got a funny story about chat GPT, and I had to put it on Twitter because I didn't want anybody to see it on Facebook. I think I'm being stopped by some professors, but I saw one of my classmates' responses to a discussion question, and it was clearly chat GPT. And then I saw somebody else respond to them, and it was clearly chat GPT. And I'm like, are y'all having a whole chat GPT competition here? Because you can tell it's like the same style of writing. It's so generic. You could tell. And all you have to do is put the prompt in yourself, and you'll get almost the exact same. And it's always rewritten a little bit, but it's the same style and listing. And if they ask you, give us 3 things, they give it to you exact. And it's like so weird. So, but once you start doing something in the style of people, it is what it is. Education, I love that. Do you want your doctor to use AI? If they fix me faster, I think that's a good use.
I mean, it has to be good uses of it.
I want artificial intelligence, I mean, if they can go in and do certain precise things that you wouldn't be able to do by human hand, we already are doing that anyway in some ways. But everybody's on strike because nobody's happy with what they're being paid and the conditions they're working under. And is this like a new movement, do you think? Like a new labor, resurgence? Because unions haven't been
as strong as they strong as they were.
And I don't know if this is carrying over to genuinely a new generation, or if this is just basically the same players. I know there were new people involved. Did
GM strike before they closed?
Close what?
GM.
Oh, here locally?
Yeah.
I don't remember the UAW strike.
The last strong strike I saw here was Thomas Steel, which is no longer Thomas Steel. They sold them off to Tata or something. They call it Tata now.
They sold it to the Russians.
They sold it to the Russians. Putin is running y'all joint now. That's what you get for striking. Well, I mean, I support it because you cannot argue with the tens of millions of dollars that these CEOs are getting.
Oh my goodness.
And we're not just talking about do they deserve or not deserve and all that, because, I'm on council right now and they got a raise legislation going on.
No, they trying to get a raise.
But the disparity between what the average CEO used to make versus the average worker, and it used to be like the average CEO used to make like, I don't know, 200 times or something, or 10 times or something, and now it's like 3,000 times the average worker. It's ridiculous. And if these CEOs are getting 40% increases in their millions of dollars of bonuses, and they claim stock options, and they be like, well, it's really stock options, and it's all money at the end of the day. You can cash that in for something at the end of the day.
Some of these bonuses, some of these guys are literally buying whole cars. Brand new cars with their bonus.
And they buying whole islands with their bonus. What you talking about? I mean, these people are getting multi-million-dollar bonuses. And I think the issue is so many people feel this way because we lived through the recessions and the bailouts and COVID and the PPP and all these, from car manufacturers to airlines to banks. No matter what the situation was, whether it was the banks and the car manufacturers with the recession, which they are still banking money that they received from the government, from the taxpayer, or like the airlines was another one after COVID, because the airline industry went down, they got bailouts from the government. A lot of people didn't talk about that, but they got bailouts, and their CEOs are just getting tens of millions of dollars. So I get it. Like I get it. But I mean, will it be productive though in the long run? Or is it another thing like we talk about inflation?
That's the purpose of it, to be productive, to get higher wages. But
will higher wages mean higher prices? So it washes out.
Oh, it's already higher prices.
And who actually pays for these higher wages in the end? Is GM really going to pay for these higher wages, or are we going to go to the car lots and they're going to continue to go up like they have been since the inflation, the pandemic?
The prices
Prices that we're going to pay.
Yeah.
And when I say we, I mean all of us, unions, non-union, we're going to pay.
I'm crossing the line.
That $30,000 car is going to be $45,000 car. Like it already
crazy.
is.
What's that?
I said the prices are already crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I just feel like,
nuts.
I think the economy, and this is going to go into our discussion later on about politics, I think so many things have shifted, but we keep doing the same old models to get the results. But it's a far more complicated and nuanced world now. And I don't know what the results were in the 60s and the 70s, even in the 30s and 40s, when there were a lot of strikes, a lot of labor rights, a lot of, things that were going on, how that affected pricing and how that affected what the everyday consumer, because I think we live in an era of passing the buck and passing everything on, where it was like a share the wealth, where now it's just going to be transfer the cost.
Well,
that's
absolutely.
what I feel.
And I that's what I'm saying. I think back then, when we go back to, to literally have everybody stop riding a bus. That's major. That's a major
possible
move.
though?
That's what I'm saying. Is it possible to do that now?
Kind of.
Even you have these strikes now. They're not lasting. Where cats is about to lose their house. They don't last that long anymore.
That's true.
So I'm saying these guys back in the day really went through something to get us to where we are right now.
So funny thing I was thinking about just now as you're saying that, like, does the solidarity, which is the key word of unions,
Absolutely.
Solidarity, coming together, we're gonna as one fist, we're gonna work together. But it used to be like these employers would like call in scabs. They would call in replacement workers, right? They call them scabs. Remember when the NFL had the replacement referees and replacement players that one year?
Horrible.
I think that's where they got the idea for the XFL.
I was in there. I was playing. That's why my knee hurt now.
Right. So, but the funny thing is, but we're in a worker shortage right now. Like, the people that are striking are the only people that are willing to work.
Right.
Like, where are you going to find all these workers to take their place, especially at a lower wage? So, I mean, I think that the employers will have to capitulate to some things, but at the same time, again, I'll say that phrase again, I think we've gone from a share the wealth to transfer the cost society in one way or another. They have figured out more ways that doesn't matter whether we know it or not, we can't do nothing to stop it. Right. What can you do to stop somebody if we say, fine, we'll pay all you auto workers $30 an hour, $35 an hour, but guess what? Next time you go buy a Chevy Malibu or something, it's going to be $55,000. Who's going to stop them?
I mean, just for kicks and giggles, from what I'm hearing, is that they're going to reopen GM.
Thanks for saying kicks.
Bring. Because
I'm not saved enough that I don't know what everybody else says, but that's great.
Don't make me fall out the chair.
Don't fall out the chair again, Pastor Jeff.
Hey, but they're going to bring GM back.
You mean locally?
Locally, and pay everybody lower prices. After so long, none of those people who were there can come back.
Ooh,
that's what I was told.
This is a good one. Labor unions are like church choirs. They have a great history, but are only good in certain situations now.
Wow.
Wowzers. I have to concur. And I'm not saying that because I'm anti-union. I'm saying that because I feel like there are major shifts that we are ignoring because we are so tied and committed to certain structures.
But are only good
for certain situations.
Wow.
I think it's true. It doesn't have the same effect. The same way we found out boycotts or calling for boycotts doesn't have the same effect. Because if that was true, Colin Kaepernick would have a job. And the crazy thing is everybody is sort of claiming to be striking and boycotting each other. So you're not quite know. Remember with the Colin Kaepernick thing with the NFL, the conservative people, the America people were claiming they weren't watching. The Black Power people supporting Cap said they weren't watching. You didn't know which one was actually causing the downfall. Probably a mixture of both of them.
It's so only again, you
it's so much more complicated now than what you said about, well, just don't ride the bus.
Right.
I'm not sure if it's that clean cut anymore.
Now, see, what we're forgetting and what people aren't talking about is technology and automation.
Has changed so much.
Has changed. And that's going to be a big deal, I say, within the next 10 years. The place I work at, the owner just spent $30 million for a fully automated warehouse. No human inside the warehouse, just robots and cranes picking stuff up and dropping it off. So you got 30 people right there that's going to be displaced.
And the funny thing is, I'm a John Oliver fan. I watch John Oliver. I find him very informative if you can handle a couple curse words, which he's not nearly as bad as most people. But he did a special on automation that Mike just mentioned. And he mentioned that American productivity is actually up. They don't need as many people to do more work. And it's not because they're working everybody into the ground. It's because their machines are automating so much. You know, one guy running a machine doing a task that 10 people used to do.
Right.
And so they're actually producing more. We're not producing in the United States. We are producing. We're just producing with less. And most of the hands-on stuff that does require hands-on work is either going to migrants, like your farm work, or it's going overseas, like your fast clothing, your H&M, your cheap clothing that's made overseas because they got to make it that way because ain't nobody making it for that wage here. And so again, the dynamics have shifted big time. Everybody wants everything made in America. Nobody wants to pay American prices.
Indeed. Well, I tell you what, before we go, they better get some more workers at Walmart because I'm about tired of doing my own checkout. I don't care.
I like the self-checkout.
I don't care.
Man, forget that self-checkout.
Man, I checked out a TV as a bell pepper the other day. I rang that sucker up as a pack of bananas.
A whole TV.
Walked out with a whole Bluetooth speaker. They about the same size.
I cannot stand doing it.
And then too, after our generation, who's going to work? Because these younger cats don't want to work.
But they don't want to work under the same terms. They don't want to work. Some people want to work. Perfect example of what Ms. Rosalind said. I needed my union. I'm sure I agree 100%. All employment with Warren City schools always wanted to look over my seniority 3 times for arbitration, union, and contracts. I agree. People overlook your seniority. They overlook that. At the same time, there's a whole generation coming up saying that seniority shouldn't count for that much anymore because you might have been here longer, but I'm better at the job. And unfortunately, there are situations where seniority has got us stuck. And Lord knows, church is a place where that happens too, just as much as,
oh my goodness,
just as much as the employers, where if somebody was there 25 years, they still might get a job over somebody who was far more adept at taking that department or that thing. So it's like a both sides thing. Amazon stores with no employees. You go in, pick up, scan, and leave. You're right. So automation ain't going nowhere.
Absolutely.
I'm about to automate these sermons. Listen, you about to get an AI church up in this piece.
I say it all the time. Just because you're older don't mean you're smarter. You just might have just been wrong longer.
You've been wrong longer. And see, some people think, and that might offend. So that's a younger person. Mo is younger. Mo's opinion is seniority don't mean nothing. Seniority is a major part of the union.
Oh, it's major. It's major.
So think about how younger people think. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying people are thinking differently. And
I work at a steel mill. Clock number means everything.
Everything.
Your clock number means everything. That means the better jobs, the faster you can get, that means it means everything. Your clock number means everything. And you're right. There are some people who have a higher clock number and don't do anything, but their clock number still carries weight.
Mo, you about to lose your job
right.
too. You can't fire me. I'm a volunteer. No, but I mean, but these are, and this right here, Mo's opinion, Mariah's opinion compared to like an Elder Carter or Rosalind, those are the type of direct, straight conversations in many areas where here's what a younger person really thinks. Let me just be clear here. She might be the one commenting it online, okay? Most other young people think it and live by it without ever saying it.
Absolutely.
They think it and live by it, whether you want them to or not. And that's going to bleed right into what we're going to talk about today with where the party at with parties and political activism. They don't think that way. They don't think like you. They don't tell you all the time, but they live it and they act or don't act on, accordingly. And that's the tough conversation that needs to be had. So, I support the strikers, but I just say, like a lot of movements we've seen, and I read a really great article. I read a really great article about why the last few movements have not actually panned out. Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, things like that. They've created a lot of noise, but very little substantial policy shifts. And I'm not saying those movements were worthless. I'm just saying that there wasn't always an end game of what does it result in, or a full consideration of what the ramifications would be, the consequences. And so I think these are really important conversations, and I love it. We might not have to point back to this and talk about what happened if the church went on strike. What if the choir went on strike? What if the musicians, what if the preachers went on strike? We have to have a conversation. That'd be fun.
Playing tracks.
Right, we were playing tracks. Hey, some preachers already do. All right, I put whoop triggers and just hit the iPad when I want to hoop. That's what I would do. Hey, y'all, that's been a nice conversation. It got kind of serious. I don't want y'all to duke it out, so let's just jump over to meme of the week.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week.
Welcome to Religiously Incorrect, ladies and gentlemen.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week.
Thank you. Send us your memes of the week.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week.
We are, these are all jokes. We are just playing.
Back to another video meme of the week. Last time I think we did a series of pictures of AI biblical characters. That was pretty hilarious. And if you weren't there, just know that we ended up with Jesus doing a backflip over a table because it was Jesus flipping over tables. So this one is a video that I think every pastor, especially if you've grown up with a Pentecostal or holiness background, if you grew up in a Pentecostal background, you have had this experience, either watching from the pew or having to deal with this as a pastor in the pulpit. Check it out.
All right. All right. Now, of God. They design these kinds of buildings. Okay, now listen. All right, that's good. That's good. That's good. All right. All right. All right. Now.
Haven't you had that one person, that one individual
Just won't stop.
that just won't, and they could either be just by themselves, period, just completely by themselves. Okay, or everybody had a shout together. Everybody went in together. But when it's time to move on, they want to keep going. They think they can, you know what they want to be? They want to be the one that starts it back up.
Oh, to start it back up.
They want to be the fire restarter.
Yeah. Well, the problem with that, go to the back corner, but don't do it right in front.
Right in front
of the pulpit, right where I'm trying to move on.
I've watched people walk up calmly. Mm-hmm. Just walk up and then wait until they got to the front. And for some reason, the carpet in the front is more anointed than the carpet in the aisle.
You got a show-off spirit.
You got a show-off spirit. Play it again because I want y'all to see this.
You got a show-off spirit.
This is that show-off spirit.
All right. All right. Now, of God. They design these kinds of buildings. Okay, now listen.
Okay, he done broke all the jangles off the tambourine.
That's good. All right.
Ain't no jangles left.
All right.
Now, okay, here's another one. If Dorinda says all right, the queen of shouts, if Dorinda Clark Cole, the rose of gospel, the queen of shouts, the one they tossed the mic to at the convocations to exhort the people, and the mic toss with her sister Karen, clap your hands and praise. If she's telling you need to calm it down, you need to calm it down.
Now, see, can we talk about it? Because this is where
she says, I'm gonna do it this week.
This is where you need skilled assistance. If you're not the one up there,
this is where you need tasers.
I'm saying if you're not up, because some preachers, they'll just let it go on.
That is correct.
They'll just let it go on. And like you're waiting for them. You need somebody who can say, son, it's over.
It's over.
Sit down.
The anointing. This is for Scott when a praise break goes wrong. When a praise break goes long. Late shouter, President Michael Harrison. Oh, I love that. Late shouter, the spirit of distraction.
Oof.
Ooh. Mariah said, I'm going to do that in service on Sunday. We don't even do that in service. We have Baptist fits. Okay. Nobody's going to run up to the front. Well, somebody might, but they'll be sorely out of place. But there is so much. Get somewhere and sat down. There is so much, and there's always one. There's always one that has to go on and on and on. And like I said, you want to restart something because there's a little bit of a pride. It's like the person at the baseball game that wants to get a chant going or a wave going. Right. That's what that is. The person that wants to get a wave.
But here it is. This you know how to stop them? You know how to stop them? Tell the musicians to stop.
Cut that music.
Cut the music. They gonna stop.
They do not go long without music.
You can't shout without the music. That's when you know your shout ain't real.
Flynn said Uncle Bootsy. And thank you, Pastor Harrison. I will sit you down. Praise break or praise broken. We need to bring.
Yeah, we got to bring Scott on.
We got to bring Scott on to just do a review of multiple praise breaks in church videos. Praise break. That's a good. That might have to become a new segment.
Right.
Was this a praise break or was this a praise broken? So next time the keyboard is banging on it and the whole stand breaks on him and falls over, was this a praise break or a praise broken? That's a good one.
My God.
That's
most
a good
of them
one.
is praise brokens.
That is not the Holy Spirit. How are you going to tell him that's not the Holy Spirit? He was feeling it. That tambourine felt it.
Tambourine show felt it.
That was an angry spirit. That's what that was.
Playing games.
Well, and let's be honest, and some of us have been there too. We've been the shouter by ourselves. We've had our little emotional moment. We thought we was going to do something. And you be peeking out of your eye like, ain't nobody with me today. Let me go. And there's only two options. There's only two options. There's only two options when you're the crazy person at the altar. You either slink away or fall out. You either slink away and fall out.
And you know what would be real funny is when one person take off around the church, then everybody start following them around the church, and then you get tired and you got to stop. It's like, look, Doug, we done 2 laps. That's all I can do. I'm good. I got 2 good laps.
That's all I got in me. I mean, because running around you running around Second Baptist, you doing a quarter mile. I mean, I'm just calling it what it is. You know, you run around Second, you doing a good quarter mile. I mean, you getting it in. You will have met your steps goal for the day if you do that. But y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you tag somebody. We got a great subject matter we gonna hit tonight. Where the party at?
Yo, where the party at?
Where the party at? But first, we want to thank our sponsors, the Phillips Family Care of Businesses, Phillips Care Lawn Services. I'm not picking up my leaves this year. I'm paying somebody else to do it. And you can too. Call my man Fernando at 330-219-7916. Get that last cut in. Get those leaves up, branches together. They'll take care of you. They'll get you right, starting at $30 a lawn. And while you're at it, you need some things that need to be moved out, moved in, residential, commercial cleaning, carpet cleaning, floor cleaning, even all types of repairs and enhancements to your building or your structure, your house, your garage, your she shed, your dog house, whatever it is you got. They fix mailboxes. They do it all for you. Check out Phillips Care Cleaning Service at 330-219-7916. Or look them up on Facebook at Phillips Care LLC.
All right. And also, we want to talk, we are brought to you by Action. Action, Alliance for Congregational Transformation, influencing our neighborhoods, guided by our faith tradition, shared values, and multicultural collaboration. We strive to develop a community of diverse leaders committed to raising awareness and seeking solutions to overcome poverty, racism, and social injustice. Listen, y'all, Action will be at TCAP on October 19th, hosting a candidates forum at 5:00. We will also be giving away $25 vouchers for the mobile market to be announced. Please show up, support your candidates, come out, see what platform they're using.
It's vitally important that you guys come out to that. And while you're at it, check out our friend and our brother, L&K Events, the Vendors Market. This is a monthly vendor event that's taking place the first Saturday of the month from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the First Baptist Church of Howland. Listen, they have vendors, crafters, food trucks, and more. If you want more information to either be a vendor or maybe you have questions, contact them via email at info@landevents.com or visit us online at www.landandkevents.com. I'm messing up. landkevents.com. My bad. It's a new read for me. It's open to the public. Entry is free. They're looking for vendors. They're looking for customers. Come out the first Saturday of every month at First Baptist Church of Howland. Well, Pastor Jeff, today's subject is where the party at.
Where the party at?
Now, I know what kind of party you're looking for because you're, partying the party till it's ran all through by Pastor Jeff. But it is once again October, which means we are just a month from another election.
So I got questions. I got issues. I got some stuff that we need to talk about.
Lay it on us.
We got some stuff.
Because this is where we're going with this. Every year or so, sometimes every other year, we make sure we tackle the issue of politics in the pulpit, pastors, congregations, policy, and what our interactions should be. And the crazy thing is, Pastor Jeff, it's evolving and changing.
Yes.
We're learning
absolutely.
things. We're seeing things. We started talking about this when Trump was in office, and we were talking about all the changes. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say and the questions that you have, and maybe just where you want to kick this discussion off.
First of all, I want to kick it off where we are. You just heard that Action will be hosting a forum. Are forums necessary? Do we need them? What is the purpose of the forum? Let's start there. Let's just start there.
I'm glad you asked. When an individual is running for political office, they are running to be a public servant. Mm-hmm. The vast majority of them, many of them, especially when you get into roles like council, mayor, congressman, or state representative, they are going to serve a public role where they will have to take public stances, explain public positions, advocate, and begin to sort of make argument and justification for what they believe in and what they don't believe in. And they're going to have to do that to their colleagues,
Absolutely.
their peers, other bodies, as well as the public. And so because we are running for public office, it only makes sense that we should publicly make our positions known, allow the public before we get into office to do more than just read a flyer or see a sign or look at a Facebook post and here's a big word, we articulate our position.
Absolutely.
Because the way you articulate your position to the public when you are campaigning gives us a big indication of your understanding and grasp of the issues and whether or not you will be able to capably articulate your position in that public service role when you or if you get elected. So I think it's essential that anyone who desires to represent the public should speak to the public in public forums. Because once I got elected, my signs came up.
Right.
Once I got elected, my little flyers came up.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to sit down at a desk in front of a gallery of citizens,
right,
answer questions, take phone calls, and give a public vote and sometimes public debate about what I believe in and what I don't believe in. And so it doesn't mean it happens all the time. Sometimes we're just yes, no, having conversations in caucus and committee meetings. That's fine. But there's a lot of accountability in the public, and I think it's absolutely necessary.
So let's kick it. Let's kick over a little bit because we got to get to where this is. Where the party at?
Where the party at?
You got Democrats, you got Republicans, you got independents. I'm gonna tell you, I just turned 50 years old. Mm-hmm. Up until I was 40, I've been voting since I was 18. Up until I was 40, I went in that booth and I voted Democrat all the way down. I didn't have any idea. It didn't bother me. I didn't care. I was a Democrat through and through because my mama was a Democrat through and through.
My mama was a Democrat.
Her grandmother was a Democrat through and through. That's what we did. I didn't even care if, who it was. I just was going to vote Democrat.
Right.
How is that changing now?
Well, you answer. How did it change for you?
It changed for me, first of all, because I literally started to listen to what the people had to say. Mm. And I think once you do that, once you understand, here's something I learned, and I wrote this down. I wrote down, until whites confess the sin of complicity and blacks confess the sin of complacency, we will never change.
Wow.
There are so many whites who are complicit.
Right.
And
even tacitly, even.
Yes. And then there are so many blacks like myself who were complacent in just the fact that I am going to vote for a Democrat.
And that doesn't necessarily have to be a white or black issue, but it could be party issue. It could just be, like you said, people that are, hey, black people can be complicit and complacent,
right?
And vice versa. I would say that what you just said about at a certain point, some of us, but unfortunately not enough of us, pay attention a little more to what is being said, not just what is being said and what positions are, but what has resulted from them.
Right.
So we've gotten very upset. Now, I was even taken aback when I started seeing memes on Facebook probably about 6-7 years ago. And they would show, it was like a 4-picture meme of the projects. And it would say the projects under Clinton, the projects under Bush, the projects under Obama, the projects under Trump. And they were essentially saying, no matter who is in office, the projects haven't changed for them. That's to me. And I know people can think that's short-sighted. People can think that is not. But if a person grew up in a certain situation, and I know you can say they should have did for themselves, that they should have done this or that, but this is just what they see.
Can I just talk about that?
If you take your car to the car wash and it comes out dirty,
right?
Nobody's going to say, well, you didn't educate yourself enough about it. You're going to say, I paid money at a car wash that claimed it was a car wash and my car came out dirty. This must not be a good car wash. So it's just like, I can't argue, even though I'm sure there are nuances, there are things people need to know. As base as that sounds, that's where the culture and the new generations are going. Like, you haven't shown me a difference besides some complicated policy issues I really don't understand and sometimes don't even agree with.
Absolutely. So can I talk about that for a second? So this is why I feel personally that Barack had the numbers that he had come out to vote for him, which was overwhelmingly. It gives us a strategic plan on how it can be done. But because us and those who are in the projects and the ghetto can still agree with hope and change. And that was a platform that he ran on.
I think we could. I don't think we can now.
Well, I'm saying that's how he,
at the time.
At the time, yes.
We were willing to hear that.
Yes, absolutely.
Hope and change came and went. Hope and change came and went.
It did, because the change never.
Hope and change came and went. The project's still the projects. Now, we could put the onus on the voter, which it should be to a degree, that there are midterm elections. There's advocacy that needs to happen in the meantime, and it doesn't happen. Or usually there is a very sharp turn in one party or another, or one political part of the spectrum or another. And we saw basically that wave has been largely red quite a bit. And then the other side feels the need to push back. And then it becomes less of a intelligent conversation about what's best for the community or communities that are often diverse and don't need the same things. It becomes a tug of war, like a sports contest of just beating the other team.
Right.
Where people will sabotage the other side, even if it was a good idea. Republicans have some good ideas.
Oh, absolutely.
Republicans, conservatives have good ideas. And many of us who have been tied to Democrat loyalties agree with those Republican ideas. Some of us who are younger are agreeing a whole lot more. And quite frankly, a lot of our older people are agreeing more than we want to admit. And we want to talk about where the party at. I kind of want to shift that when we're talking about, what our obligation is and who has created hope and change and all this kind of stuff, are the parties as we have been representing them to our people truly reflecting how people really feel or how they're being told to feel because of the party loyalties of a few very loyal and devoted people, but their opinions and perspectives do not match even the opinions and perspectives of their own communities. Because the fact of the matter is, Trump was the last biggest figure.
Right.
That was this disruptive figure. And the statistics showed from the first election even to the second election that his Black and Latino support shot up.
Absolutely.
The second election. And that shot up in what was reported, not in what wasn't reported. Meaning that if this many people admitted who were Black, Latino, or in Democratic areas or had traditionally voted Democrat, if that number of people admitted to voting for Trump, how many people did not admit to voting for Trump, but they did? Because while there are still these strongholds and sides, Everybody don't agree with them, but everybody don't talk about it. Because that's the one thing about politics, Jeff. When you talk about politics in the pulpit and parties and all, ain't but a few of us really up here yelling at each other and talking a whole lot. We're really not. And we think everybody is talking and thinking as passionately as we are, and they're not.
Right.
All they're doing is looking at their paycheck and paying attention to whether it went up or down or not.
That's it.
All they're doing is looking at and seeing what war is going on or not going on. All they are looking at is seeing as the protests died down or not. All they are looking at and seeing is if their medical bills are going up or down. That is it. And if you think it's as easy as your political point to assign the blame one way or the other, it don't come off that clear to everybody.
Absolutely.
So I love what Tatum said. Pastor Tatum said, the problem is that the fringes of both parties get the most sound bites, and the balanced voices of both are not heard. And let's just be clear. Politics is an industry. People are paid to fight for a position. Let's just be clear here. People that we know and love are paid by one particular party or another to fight for a position, to organize canvassing, to phone bank, to host campaign events, to get certain, entities, organizations, businesses, endorsements on their side. And they would not be so fervent if the paychecks weren't there.
Right. And to that point, it was a while ago, but somebody
scroll up a bit.
Somebody asked, is forums the best way?
Oh, that was a good question.
Are forums
Scott
the
asked,
best way to
educate the populace?
So, and I want you to help tell me this, because I believe that proximity matters.
Yes.
The reason Hillary did not win because Hillary was not showing up. A lot of the red states, she did not come out and campaign. I believe that we have to, forums are great. They're great. And I want to have the forums, but I believe that you have to get door to door. You have to get face to face. You have to get out there and show who you are. I believe that it is still a boots on the ground type. You still have to have boots on the ground to win.
I believe Hillary was a bad candidate, and the only argument the Democrats had is that Trump was a worse candidate, and it didn't work.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm just saying, period.
I know, but I don't care how many people's faces she got in. She was a bad candidate. And the only argument they had was that Trump was the worst candidate. And in some ways, they were right with the policies, and he's going to get judges and all that. Yeah, they're right about what he's going to be able to do.
What I'm saying is, locally, would you agree that we need
locally, yes.
Okay,
locally, absolutely. And just to throw about forums, do forums educate the population the best? About the person? Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
About the issues themselves and how politics and civics work? Not always. Because that has to come from a more neutral place, and it's harder and harder to find that, of just what are the ramifications of these, elections or policies or whatever. But it will educate me on whether a person, number one, genuinely shares my ideals and actually displays the type of capacity to actually further my ideals. And if I got a person that cannot explain what we believe in any better than I could, then I'm not voting for them.
Right.
Period.
Absolutely.
And I don't care what you say you believe in. Can you actually articulate with a real vocabulary, understanding this? Listen, I serve on a local city council. This stuff still sounds like old English jargon in little old Warren, Ohio. The simplest little budget. Have you read one little thing when we're paying a gas bill or something, and from the unencumbered balances of the encumbered, reallocated funds from fiscal year 2021? And we've got people that's been on the board for 15 years, don't know what they're reading. They just vote yes, and somebody has to put it in fourth grade language form. So I don't need anybody. And truth be told, we need to level up the education level and the capacity of the people. But as far as the issues, we have to find better ways, like Pastor Tatum said, to find more neutral, balanced ways to talk about the issues and not just punch each other all the time.
So how do we, because I believe, and I know, I was talking to my wife early, and she said she has civics, and her civics class was an elective. I don't even remember civics being an elective for me. I
took government.
I did have government,
right.
Civics. But when I'm out here now, and when I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm asking, who is your council person? Majority of these people have no idea.
They don't know the difference between council and commissioners. They don't know county versus city government versus state.
Absolutely. So, but what they do know, and I think this is how we change the trajectory, because what they do know is they don't want the police to harass us no more.
Right.
What
Right.
they do know, because that's all politics. And if we change the language, we can get people to maybe understand what these politics are about. When we say, do you care how much your electric bill is?
Right.
Do you care that there's potholes in the streets? When we say things like that, when you change the language, maybe, and I'm just saying maybe.
Well, also, do you know the power and the limitations of whoever you are addressing?
I'm sorry.
What she say?
Mariah.
Pay city council more, get better results. Amen, sister. Now watch this become a meme.
You know it is.
Yeah, I know it is.
You know it is
I
coming
can't
right
believe they're
there.
watching it. They normally say, I think it's Pastor Todd when asked. Or who, yeah, right. Who can fix that? But so for real, do you know the power and the limitations of the person you're asking to fix those problems?
Right.
Because those are not, I'll be honest. That's why I feel very strongly that all local municipal races should be nonpartisan. Because almost all party positions are at state level and above. Unless you just have like a budgeting philosophy you're going to put into place, and I'm just more conservative with the budget. But abortion and gay marriage and all these social issues and all these, wars, what they call it, the social wars or all that stuff is at the Supreme Court level, the state court level, the legislative level. And like we have here in Warren, a bunch of folk, which Warren is still pretty much all Democrat, half of them are pretenders anyway. Let's be clear here. When they go in that booth, I pay attention to who actually advocates up their party line and even at the local level for their fellow people. And they're not that Democrat values and all that stuff. No, they don't. The chairman of the Democratic Party around here said, I stand for democratic values. And the first thing he said was strong police force. I'm like, when has that ever been said? Especially by African-American Democrats. When have you ever heard a black person or a Democrat say, what's your number one priority as a Democrat? And they say stronger police force.
When they got a police person in their family.
When they got a police, exactly. Right. Sorry, Pastor Vince, love you. But I get it. You got to have self-interest. But let's talk about how, and this is a political show episode, but it's also religiously incorrect, how we run from the idea of politics and partisanship, and we try to avoid it at all costs. We try to avoid taking sides at all costs. We try to avoid even the appearance that we have an interest or an opinion. And I feel like if anybody should be spouting or sharing an opinion or at least a perspective about it, even if you don't take some strong stance, you should at least have your voice at the table and encouraging your congregations and community that you care about this. It should be those of us who serve in pulpits and have influence. Because at the end of the day, you say, I don't get involved in politics. But the fact is that politics is nothing more than policies that affect the people you serve.
The community you serve. Absolutely.
So if you say you don't get involved in politics, what you're saying is, I don't care if Medicare gets cut. I don't care if they take away funding from my children's schools. I don't care if they don't invest in my community. That's all policy. Somebody is making that decision to send money over here and not over there.
Absolutely. Somebody
is making that decision to increase certain types of sentences that affect African Americans more and not, do that. And Scott, you're correct. You need a D or an R behind your name to get the backing in media, unless you're a controversial pastor. Is it true? Is it true? Am I an anomaly? Am I a mermaid? Am I a unicorn here? That you really? I just think not enough quality people that could have run, and too many of us have been trained and programmed to run under a party. And thankfully, there are some people, and you might even want to thank Trump for this, for running under a party, but also bucking their party. He knew that most of his party was against gay marriage, but he's not going to play that role with all his superstar friends. And he's not, and even his abortion stances were just lip service. And I know he wants to limit it, but can't convince me he's gung-ho about that. Can't convince me. So, what do you feel about the partisanship issue of, they say, I'm not saying you can get up in the pulpit and say you should vote Democrat or Republican, or that you should get up in the pulpit and say, I support Sally over Susie or Bob over Jim. Not even to that point. We have people that will not say anything except if they say it, I hope you guys are registered to vote.
Right. Well, for me, I think you ought to, and we know. I know you. I've watched your videos. You watched mine. We get up and we have words to say. We have
Absolutely.
words now. And
I said it today,
and I'll say it. And I am a lead organizer with the organization, but I still have a right to. And I need to say this. I still have a right. I still vote. I'm still human. You're
still a citizen of these United States.
Right. I'm still a citizen. So I still vote, and I still have a congregation.
Yes.
And I still have a right to my congregation to let them know some of the issues that are before them.
And thank you, Scott. They are afraid of losing the 501c3. But that's the crazy thing about that. We have such
When
a
has it ever
misunderstanding.
happened?
It's never happened.
I've never heard it happen.
It's never happened, number one. But number two, I saw a post the other day. The ignorance, and I'm going to call it what it is. And you can get mad if you want. The ignorance so many of us have about our rights as citizens, whether we are pastors, religious, figures, or even nonprofits in our community, that as a personal citizen, and that's what a lot of people who know, they say, I'm speaking for myself.
Right.
Not as my capacity of XYZ nonprofit, not in my capacity being a part of NAACP or APRI or whatever the organization might be. Not even Second Baptist Church. I'm speaking for myself.
Right.
I can take a partisan position. So many people have gotten on Facebook and said to me, you're a pastor. You're not supposed to say something that could be partisan. I am Todd Johnson with a whole social security number and a voter registration, and I pay taxes and all of that stuff. And so many people don't know it. And it's not even about having a fear of losing it. There is no fear of losing it if you're speaking for yourself. Now, here's what you can speak to, even if you are speaking under an organization. You can take a position on an issue.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
If there is an issue,
Elder Carter said it, issues.
Thank you. I don't care if it is the local liquor license that wants to be approved in your neighborhood, or if it is an issue about legalizing marijuana at the state or federal level. You are allowed to take a position legally on an issue, even as an organization. You can stand up and say Second Baptist Church is opposed to the marijuana XYZ, or we support the marijuana, whatever it might be. But I can't get up and say Republican, Democrat, right. This one over that one.
And let's just be honest, though. You have our counterparts in huge churches that will literally say, y'all vote for Trump.
We having a Republican revival tonight. We having a whole
not a Republican.
We having
revival.
We having a whole red wave revival with
praying for everybody who stormed the Capitol. Praying for them. Yeah. Praying for those who stormed the Capitol.
Absolutely. They're like, these are the brave apostles of the 21st century.
These are they that turned the Capitol upside down.
And we are meeting together saying, I don't want to get involved in that. They might. Listen, bro, you got 9 members. Ain't nobody taking your 501c3. You probably even got an active 501c3 while you're talking. You ain't even got no real paperwork. Ain't never registered with the state. Got a handwritten note that says I started this church, and you over here talking about I might lose my 501c3, and y'all be calling it the 513c56. You don't even call it the right thing. I'm serious. The most people that talk about this stuff don't even have their stuff together.
Right.
You go look up at the Secretary of State. They've been defunct since like 1987.
Ain't even supposed to be doing marriage. All y'all marriages is invalid. All of them.
Y'all ain't even really married.
You ain't gonna get nothing after the divorce.
And that's what cracks me up. And we don't. And here's the funny thing. It's not so much that we're afraid to share our positions. Too many of us don't have a position.
Right.
The number of pastors I've run into that don't know when major issues are ongoing in their city, state, and country don't read the paper. They don't even know when murders have happened in their neighborhood. I mean, it's insane how detached we are.
Absolutely.
In the name of spirituality.
Absolutely.
In the name of being a humble servant of God. My job is just to preach the gospel and blah, 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 blah. Listen, we all live in a world here. I mean, you take part in every other function that you want to. That's not church. If you're a sports fan, you do that. If you're a part of the Masons or fraternity, or if you're running your business, you don't say, I'm a pastor, I don't want to make any money for life and live. You do your part to get through. And so I'm discouraged by the willful ignorance that doesn't allow for a position, or the privacy of a position when you occupy a very public space that you use when you want to. You don't mind being public when you're trying to sell them chicken dinners. You don't mind being public when you're trying to get elected to some denominational office. You don't mind being public if you're invited to speak somewhere where you'll be seen and be on camera.
Absolutely.
But as soon as it comes to speaking up for a policy, or even knowing the policy and then speaking up to what you know is hurting your people or could help your people, you don't have anything to say. Or you won't even add your face or your body to the presence of those who do have something to say. To say, maybe I cannot articulate it, but my brother, Pastor Stanford, can. Right. And so when he gets up to speak, I'll be beside him.
That's backing. That's it.
That's
it. So, and you just said what you're discouraged about. Can I tell you what I'm discouraged about?
Go ahead.
I'm discouraged because we have several organizations in our community who won't come together.
Don't that sound like church?
Based upon
Don't that sound like church?
Whether it's political parties, or based upon whether they want to lead or they want to be in front, and they won't work with anybody else.
Or whatever reservations, fears, concerns, considerations that, while legitimate, you're just unwilling to work through and talk through.
Right.
And so the funny thing, the irony, Pastor Jeff and I, being pastors, we live under the constant accusation that you pastors...
What?
Oh, at the Red Wave Revival, Kid Rock.
Okay, I was like, where did this come from?
I'm sure he's already done it. You can't convince me he hasn't already done a probably Amazing Grace at some Southern Baptist church. You can't convince me.
Oh, yeah. Done that.
Okay. But Pastor Jeff, you and I have lived under the accusation for years that you churches and you pastors won't come together, get over your differences.
Come on.
Compromise with each other.
There it is.
Allow one to lead, or everybody share together. What do they say to us? Who cares who gets the credit?
Right.
What do they say to us? Who cares who came up with the idea first? Who cares who started? You should join up with whoever's doing something. And to watch community groups and individuals, and I'm talking, let me be clear, I'm not picking out any nonprofit groups talking about they want to help the kids in the community, political groups, voter activism groups, civil rights groups, all saying that they want the same things. But when someone steps out to do something and are invited, and I want to be real clear, nobody does things to perfection.
Right.
Because trust me, I done sat through a few of other people's events, and they were so far from perfect that I wanted to throw up how badly some of these things are presented. Yet we're expected to continue to support in those imperfections. Right. So if someone else comes up with something, how ironic it is that the same people sometimes from the same camps that say you churches can't come together. Why don't you don't worry about who had the idea, or who forgot to call who, or who didn't do this right, or who didn't, whatever. Just come to the table and work it out.
The table is open.
And compromise.
The altar is open.
Everybody doesn't get what they want all the time. Everyone doesn't get 100% of what they desire, but because of the greater good. Here's what, just to go along with what you said. In our little city, in this little off-year election, where we only have 3 races, significant races at the city level, out of those 3 races, 5 African Americans of our community are involved.
Absolutely.
5 African Americans have put themselves up, their money up, their names on the line, their reputation, their signs out, and asking humbly for their support of their community. And with that many African Americans running, how could you not have a group of American organizations and supporters making sure that they're given proper platform so that they can articulate their positions and present themselves to the public? How can you withdraw from that? How can you avoid that? How can you find excuse to get away from it when these are your brothers and sisters? And it would hurt me, and I know if I was running, if I had an actual opponent, and I have loved and worked with and supported people all my life, and then they decide to sit out.
Right.
The time that I need
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I would appreciate as much backing. And when I say backing, I don't mean backing me, but I mean backing the event so that the event has the right validation and it feels well-rounded and we have the power to do that. I would be highly offended and wonder if those communities and organizations really genuinely care.
Now let me just
it hurts.
Let me just say this. Tomorrow night, CMC, Community Mobilization
Committee,
they will be holding theirs at New Bethel. And watch this, action is part of CMC. So, and I'm sure I didn't have anything to do with it.
You weren't invited to the meeting?
No, I was at the meetings. I was at all the meetings, but I'm just saying, I didn't make any of the questions. I didn't do any of that. But I can guarantee
I would if I were you.
At some point or another, and Reverend Simon is absolutely phenomenal about saying part of the community mobilization is action and all the other groups that are with it. You know, because we came together to do this. And why can't it just continue to happen like that? Why do we have to continue to argue and fuss and fight over who's taking the lead and whatever?
And the sad thing is it undermines, again, our political power, because here's the other sad fact, is that the more we avoid what creates power, the more we rob ourselves of power. Can I be real honest here?
That's right.
You can't have power without friction.
You can't.
You can't have power without a spark. And one of the things that I believe damages African American in particular, I'm being particular with African American religious communities and our para-religious and social organizations, is that we operate under a sort of what I call toxic politeness and toxic respectability.
Toxic politeness.
Meaning that we are so committed to coming off as agreeable and polite to one another that anything that even looks like from a mile away, it could possibly create any sort of disagreement that might be very necessary to bring to light. We will walk away from it just so that we can say we're unified, even if it leaves us powerless.
Wow.
And the fact of the matter is, look at the wars and go back to Trump. This brother called folks' wives ugly. This cat. And when he wanted to advance an agenda that was in their best interest, according to what they had wanted anyway, they got right. And I'm not asking nobody to be no sucker because we ain't never going to do that to each other.
Absolutely.
But I do believe that there has to be a stronger willingness on our part to encounter the difficult conversations. Listen to what we talked about with a younger worker and an older worker, and you got a younger worker saying unions don't matter to me, or unions or seniority, whatever it might be. And I'm not trying to speak for Mariah. You got another person saying union protected me. I appreciated, I needed that. Like, you need to have that direct conversation.
Absolutely.
To be able to come to consensus, and maybe there can be education and learning on both sides. Mm-hmm. Maybe people will stick to their guns and they won't change, but at least you will have been heard. At least you'll have been heard. And thank you. UBC core team is doing a virtual one on the 16th. That takes nothing away from what the CMC is doing.
Right.
So I feel like we have to really address, because this funny thing is, you cannot have political or policy power and change without being somewhat forceful, demanding, and sometimes having to create necessary tensions within your own camp, so that you come out with a stronger forged position together. I got a Bible example for you.
Oh God, we religiously incorrect.
Did not the apostles have to come to an argument and then reach an agreement at the Council of Jerusalem on what they were going to require of Gentile believers? Did they not have to get up and state their positions that were opposed to each other?
Absolutely.
While some were still saying, their loyalty to their Jewish traditions and to some of the norms and the behaviors that were associated with our laws of clean and unclean and this and that and feasts and that. And others had to say, no, we're only going to hold them to this. Let's come to a consensus so that when we walk out of this council and begin to spread the gospel, this is what our position is going to be.
Mike,
but
would you get a basket,
We had to battle it out first. We had to hear people's positions first.
Yes.
And this was not no little quiet thing. I'm sure there was some rabble rousing like you hear in those old Congress that you hear in the British Parliament, people murmuring and da-da-da-da-da. And we're just so quick to run from it. Run from disagreement. That's the main reason why some of our older and more established workers, advocates, community leaders don't genuinely connect with younger ones because they really don't want to hear what we have to say, to be honest. Or they'll say, I heard you, but we're going to stick with what we know because
This is what we've been doing.
This is what we've been doing. And by the way, and we're still the ones doing the bulk of the voting.
And while we're doing that, you have redistricting happening all over, and nobody's saying anything about. I believe that redistricting is the new manifest destiny. Is the 2023 manifest destiny that they are set. This white Christian national, and I'm not trying to, but I'm just it is what it is. It is what it is. It is going on and is happening at a exponential rate, and we need to stop it right now. And if we're not going to come together as organizations, as pastors, as clergy, as leaders in this community, then it's going to continue to get worse.
And if you don't want to speak up for nobody else, at least speak up for yourself.
Listen,
at least hold your own form.
As a lead organizer for action, I do not just want a seat at the table. I want to be part of making the menu.
Thank you.
And if we ain't
the table, like Mike made this table.
Yeah, Mike did make this table, didn't he?
Now Mike's about to go on strike. They don't ever pay you for that table.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
So is there a way out, or are we just waiting for a certain approach to die out? Is there a way out with what we have? And honestly, are we doing more damage because people are already so strong about, our feelings and our positions, that are we doing almost like political parties are already doing within our community, where you just dig in anyway? And if you offend or don't agree with my position or what I desire to do or not desire to do, well, the fact that you brought it up, the fact that you're challenging me, the fact that you critiqued my approach, well, that just makes me dig in anyway. And so I'm just not going to work with anybody that doesn't fully basically kiss my rear end. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna say it. But I mean, to me, I'm a numbers guy, Pastor Jeff.
Oh, yeah, yes, you are.
I'm a numbers guy. If you cannot show me with the methods that you have employed now, genuine, productive advancement, particularly amongst the generations that you want to see, because here's the funny thing. Everybody who is entrenched, and one day we're on our way there too, we're going to be saying, we won't be around forever. We need to step aside. We need to bring up the next generation. We need to do all of that, right? But if we don't actually do it, and if we stay stuck in our ways while we're steady saying that, and I put on Twitter the other day, I've been listening to every single black leader, every single spiritual leader I've ever heard say we need to step aside and give way for another generation, another perspective. But I think they're so nervous that our perspective is not their perspective. I wonder if they really want young leaders or if they just want young foot soldiers. And that's what I'm feeling like right now. Because here's the thing. There is a shift that's going to come because it always comes. Once upon a time, the Republicans were Democrats. Once upon a time, the Democrats were Republicans.
Right.
Many of our grandparents, like you said, your mom and grandma, a lot of our grandparents were Republicans.
Yeah.
Until the days of Kennedy and Johnson came along. And there was a flip around that time. It's going to happen again. This Trump MAGA era will not last forever. This Trump MAGA era is the same ugliness that the Democrats were pushing when they were the Dixiecrats and they were the segregationists. They were the segregationists. They were the enslavers once upon a time in Republican Lincoln. So there will be flips. Some of us are seeing the flip already, or the more complicated or mixed opinions, where I might agree with Democrats on financial and economic issues, but not social issues. Right. I may never go as far as they want me to go with LGBTQ rights or abortion rights or whatever. And they just assume that I should, but what if I don't? What if I do want to support social welfare programs and I do want to support, economics that aren't trickle-down economics and all that kind of stuff, and I do want to support development in distressed areas, but I just don't want to support certain things that my faith, my convictions
Right.
that have become major parts of the Democratic platform. And the funny thing is, too many of us, and I'm talking black now, that are staunch Democrats, we're ignoring the fact that everybody don't think like the party thinks. And that's why I think a lot of people are being quiet about it, because it's almost like a gang. Either you're in our gang 100% or we're going to kill you. I've already been told that because I stood up to Democrats, they're going to run somebody against me. Even though I've probably given more money. And when I say more money, giving more money, I mean I've sought to allocate and push forward more projects and initiatives
In the black community.
At this juncture. It doesn't matter. I'm not in your gang. That's what matters. I'm not. Patton came along, and I'm sorry to disappoint you. Pastor Stanford is still not saved.
He comes on every week. It jumps on.
Dr. Patton, I'm sorry to inform you. Pastor Stanford is still not saved. Right before you
I got
on,
close today, though.
Right before you came on, he took another sip out of that flask and he cussed 3 times.
Because you said something earlier that I need to talk about, because you talked about the older ones not passing this, for quote unquote, this baton. And that is one of the ways you get disqualified from the race, is by not and you have to understand that at some point or another in this race,
if you hold on to it, you're disqualified.
But at some point in this race, you guys are both running together.
Correct.
You're running to pass it, and he's running to take it. And at some point, me and Sonny and Tim and you, we all have to run together.
4 minutes.
4 minutes.
But here's the thing. While I'm speeding up, they have to willingly slow down.
Come on. That's it.
And that's pastoral.
That's
sir. Political.
Yes, sir.
That's community organizations. You have to willingly slow down. You cannot stay next to them. You cannot say, but yeah, here's my stance, my gait, here's my style. Keep doing it. And can I say it? There are some perspectives out there, and we're not using our local friends. By the way, they're our friends, they're our brothers. We're just, because they're the names we know. They're people that we know. There are people that will say, well, if we pass it, if we let y'all have y'all way, y'all will lose it. Okay, we've taken a lot of L's with the folk we got. Mm-hmm. We've lost elections with the people we got. You win some, you lose some with whoever you have. There's knowledge to be shared. There is wisdom that we need to receive, no doubt. There is so much in the ways of tactics and strategies. And sometimes we need to be cooled down. Sometimes we need to be, slowed a little bit. Sometimes we need to be measured. But I can only speak as a young 41-year-old black man that started voting at 18 in the Al Gore Bush race. Ever since then, seeing the fire and the fury and the aggression and the push coming from those who are on the opposite side of many of our allies. And I don't count myself as a Democrat anymore. I don't count myself as a Democrat, but I know what I stand for, and I know what I want to stand against. And knowing that I might be hamstrung in standing for and standing against those things, again, because I don't meet that gang or their style or their means, or I don't fall in line 100%. I'm a proud independent, and I'm going to stay independent at this point. There is no reason for me to join a political party, and if it doesn't get me any further, then so be it. And I don't think y'all get that most people think that way. Why do you think we're not running? Because you keep trying to force us into a box to run. And the system is set up that we cannot do what we feel in our hearts to do, that we're capable of doing, without putting us in that box that then makes it impossible for us to do what we're actually capable of doing. Because now we got to feed all these loyalties more, And so I feel like there is a definite reckoning that is coming.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this real quick, because obviously I'm not running for any office, but
you should run for mayor.
I am, and I have.
Have you ever had a bald-headed president before with a beard?
I am and have always been Democrat, and because I believe in the Democratic Party, I believe in what we believe.
Do you believe in all their principles?
I do not believe in all their principles, but here's the thing:
Which ones don't you believe in?
Do you believe that the Independent Party is the new interdenominational church?
I don't think that's a fair equivalent yet.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yet. I don't think that we have enough independence.
No, we don't.
Yet
We don't. Hey, trying to step into this.
And I mean, you're doing a good job at converting people over.
Well, I'm trying. But again, I'm doing it strategic. I'm not asking anybody to run as an independent president. I'm not asking anybody to run as an independent governor or even congressperson. But I do believe when it comes to local issues, when it comes to the things that affect our communities, I think the best approach is completely on the merits and qualifications of the person and the policies they promote, and not the political party that they're a part of. And I think that you could start a groundswell. And apparently conservatives feel this way because they're throwing people at school boards like hotcakes. They're throwing people at local councils and these smaller races like crazy. They don't mind doing that. And I'll be honest, they don't care who or what name or letter or color people associate with, as long as they promote their interests. That's why they ain't got no problem with Joe Manchin or Kirsten Sinema when she was still a Democrat or claiming to be. Just down in Texas, there is a mayor. Was it Dallas or Houston? I think it was Dallas. One of the latest guy who got elected as a Democratic mayor immediately flipped to Republican.
Wow.
You can't tell me that they didn't know. I want to read Ernest's first because it's already right. Before I was a Democrat or a Republican, I was black.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
First
Bynum.
line.
Before I was a Democrat or a Republican, I was black. And I want to tell y'all, this is what one of my mentors and I call him he's like a papa to me.
Thank you,
Fred
Mr.
Harris
Bynum.
would say the exact same thing. I'm black first. I'm black first. So create a community plan with support, and the candidates will support your community needs. Bless you all. Vote them in and vote them out. Local elections matter. Thank you very much. And again, if local elections matter, local forums matter. As an outsider, Scott says to the black community, the front of the Democrat bus is now full of people from a different community. Thank you. Woo! And the back has less and less seats. I'm going to read that again because that's a good preacher line.
That is good.
You ain't that much of an outsider, Scott.
My
the front
God.
of the Democratic bus is now full of people from a different community. In other words, a not black community. And y'all can't read the rest of this, but the back has less and less seats. The R Republican bus is so tainted with history that you would rather walk than be seen riding along.
Scott.
If I had a mic, I'd drop it. But these mics cost too much.
Please don't.
God.
Mike said, please don't drop this mic. I'm taking that
That's heavy.
quote.
Somebody
That's
please
heavy.
screenshot that.
Somebody
Screenshot
screenshot
that.
That's heavy
Screenshot
right
this.
there. I like
Send
that.
that to
be
me.
the two. Well, they can't see
Wow.
all the comments, so we're gonna have to screen. I wish. Can you screenshot it? We gonna mess the broadcast up.
I ain't messing it up.
Man.
Man. It's too good. It's too
I'm gonna
good.
take
I
a
don't wanna
picture of it
stop.
right now with my phone.
Where'd it go?
No, it's on there.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna take one too.
I think the
That's
people
just good
can
stuff.
actually look at the whole comment on their phone.
They can see it on their phones.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all. Scott, you're forgiven for not knowing what a praise break is. You are officially forgiven. He might be invited to the cookout. Is he invited to the cookout
After
yet?
this, he invited to the cookout.
He might be invited to the cookout. And
He might be invited
I don't
to
give
two
those out.
cookouts.
I don't invite those easily. I am a Dem, but have voted Republican when the candidate aligned with my values more than the Dem. Can I say something about the black church and the connection to Dems so much? Sometimes we're given a lot of bad Dems that we're supposed to support. And I refuse to go into a situation where I am asked to support a bad Dem candidate
And
over a
that's
qualified other candidate, no matter what that other is.
That's how I am, and I am a Democrat. But if there comes a vote where that Democrat is just blatantly wrong and not good for the job,
Well, not showing me nothing.
yeah. Or if the Republican or the Independent is showing me more, or I feel like they're going to do a better job, and it's like, I vote black. I vote for what's best for my community, my people.
Free plug, I vote black. Scott, you can come to the cookout as long as you don't bring no casserole. I'm loving it. But I want to take you guys' question before we go, because we're on the tail end of this. We're not here to attack, but we are here to speak directly. And we are in the fight of it. We're in the midst of it. You're not talking to two people who are just commenting from a distance. Pastor Jeff has an awareness of what's happening at the local, state, and federal level, the organizations, the entities, a part of Action, Gamaliel. I mean, he is in the mix of it. He has sought in Youngstown. He's been a part of things. pastoring here in Warren now. He's in the middle. Y'all know where I'm at. I'm all up in it. I know that there are probably a lot of opinions floating around, text messages being sent, screenshots being sent, clips and all that. But understand, you got two black brothers that love deeply our community. Deeply. Brother, you're definitely invited because you know what to do. You know you can't cook. Just
Good paper plates. That's it. I love Scott.
You know your sauce is trash. Just bring cups. Just bring cups.
The thick paper plates, though, Scott. The thick paper
ones.
plates.
I mean, I got to be able to hold it with one hand without it bending.
You got to be able to put ribs, potato salad, and greens on there. Come on now. You can't use the flimsy Jones.
That's what I'm talking about. Bring the good stuff because we ain't bringing it, but you can bring it. Because he shops at Target. We shop at Dollar General.
Right.
All right. But check it out. I'm saying this from my heart. There are people who genuinely love, and I'll be honest, as much as we probably are coming off as aggressive and harsh towards those that, by the way, we love and respect, but we have differences of opinion. I wish I could explain to you what I hear every day and the disenchantment and the disconnection of so many more people who won't speak like me, but are of my generation and of my even persuasion in a lot of ways of being a more balanced person. And I don't see us turning the tide. And it feels, Jeff, to be honest, as we leave this, it just feels a lot like church. It feels a lot like church. Y'all tell us what y'all want. No, we ain't doing that.
Right.
What do we when you're young folk? No, we ain't doing that. And so we can all die together, I guess. And I'll say what I've always said. I die for you, but I won't die with you.
A slow yes is a lot better than a quick no. Just, give us a little. Listen to us a little bit.
And I guess it'll be said that there have been a lot of conversation, and we've listened to the young folk, and we hear what and then it'll be said, but y'all didn't come out and vote or canvass or phone bank like we do. We're not going to. Can I be honest? We're not going to. It's not everybody's role and everybody's desire. The world is changing. That's like saying you don't work at the steel mill like I do. I'm not going to. I'm not going to. The world is shifting and changing. It's becoming more complicated.
And I don't believe, to his point, I don't believe that those things are unnecessary.
I'm not saying they are either.
I believe.
I'm just saying I ain't doing it.
I believe in integrated voter engagement, and that it shouldn't just be at this time of year. I believe that we ought to be getting people to vote all year round. I believe that.
I'll do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that those things are necessary, but times are changing. There's different. It's okay to use Facebook. It's okay to use social media. It's okay.
Right. And we got to stop acting like that is not effective in its own right.
Absolutely.
It's not the whole thing. And maybe if that doesn't work, just do like Trump, get some Russians on our side to push some disinformation or something. I'm saying make some fake pages. I mean, make it happen. But hey, we're a month
fake
out.
News.
We're a month out. Y'all need to be registered by next Monday. Early voting starts next Tuesday?
Yeah. No.
When does early voting start?
Early voting is after, I'm pretty sure it's after the 19th.
No.
Because I thought we was trying to hold it before early voting. Check and make sure.
Brother, y'all never have a thing before early voting.
Yes, we did. We have one. Yeah.
Early voting starts on October 11th.
Okay. Well, okay. Praise God. So.
Early voting starts on October 11th. Next week, voting starts. So you need to have your registration in by the 10th. You need to be registered to vote.
So y'all saw it. Y'all watching today. Simon's will be tomorrow. Pastor Harrison's, did he say the 16th?
16th. Virtual.
Pastor Harrison's will be virtual.
And in Trumbull County.
In Trumbull County.
At TCAP.
At TCAP, the 19th. In the 6th Ward, at that. And we done that purposely. Because the 6th Ward is a big race.
It's a big race.
It's a big race. So we need y'all.
And we're not going to avoid this big race.
And we're not.
I'm just going to say it. We're not going to avoid this big race.
We're going to hear what they both got to say. There are no favoritism. We coming out and we're going to see where it falls.
I can't wait.
Amen.
I can't wait. And I'm going to say, I expect every candidate to participate.
I would hope. And I want to put this out there for all the candidates who are running unopposed. We will have time at the end to let you say something.
Well, I got something to say. I'm going to take a text.
We will have time. What you say?
I'm gonna take a text. Put me in
He
E
gonna
flat.
take a text.
What's my key, Mike?
E flat.
E flat.
There it is.
Do you have anything to say, Mike, before we close?
Not about this discussion. Great discussion, by the way.
Appreciate it.
You got anything to say, Big L?
Big right. Listen. Big L said Trump 2024. He said, "Hey, there he is. Hey, a whole lot of folk thinking that."
We didn't even mention that. You know, we talked a little bit yesterday about how we are missing a lot of the middle class.
Ain't talking to him.
The middle class who are out in the suburbs.
Do all pastors think they can sing? Jeff does, definitely.
Yeah, Jeff think he can sing.
Jeff does,
blow?
definitely.
Don't think I can sing.
He can blow.
Half the time,
He be blowing all right. He blows.
Half the time, the artist got the words wrong.
Okay. Jeff's like, I got him right though. Big Mike, make your announcements. It's time for announcements. We need to have church announcements.
Real quick before we go, everybody tell a friend. Next week we will have the First Ladies on.
First ladies.
So it's going to be a great show. We haven't had them on in a while. It's been a few years. So everybody tell a friend and have them tell a friend to check us out Sunday night service. We'll
They
have
should
the
wear their
First
hats. We should have a
Ladies
First Lady hat show on the show.
Absolutely, she'll get one from $5,000.
$5,000.
Then the week after that, we're gonna have
How about $2,500?
We're gonna have Ethan and Christian, Elias and Christian on.
Man, that would be fun.
Talk about the PKs.
PKs. Hey, can I give a shout out to someone that I just want to give support because he was a guest host, Mike Ingram. In Game Changers, they're having their sip and paint on October 14th, and we usually don't do announcements like this. We're not the community announcement show, but I really support him. He supports our show. He always steps in when we need. This will be, as she said, what First Ladies. Hey, them other First Ladies we got. Hey, Mike, put your status up in the comments. We'll be sure to share it. They do a kid sip and paint, which apparently the sipping is apple juice, and then they do an adult one. And listen, I don't sip. Even if you don't sip, you can at least come paint. And don't act like you don't go to restaurants to serve alcohol all the time. This is not like some drunken thing. It's at the mall. I mean, Jeff might get drunk, but everybody else.
Mike, he already gave you a shout out. You gonna get on there and get your whole flyer and everything? Come on,
Said
Mike.
he said if y'all don't say it, I'ma say it. He was ready too.
Mike, you ain't said nothing the whole show. Now you want to get all
was
talkative
waiting.
now and stuff.
And he was holding his ties until I announced it. He was like, I ain't saying nothing.
I'm you.
I'm a whole.
He just came on.
He just got here.
He just came on.
He said, I'm gonna
just
come in
in time.
because he knew when I was gonna say something. He was like,
He said, come on, somebody.
Come on, somebody. I love it. The kids sipping paint is for little ones. They get like juice and snacks and stuff, so they're not. All right, bye, Scott. You're uninvited to the. You know we don't have to let. Hey, okay. Here's the thing about the black cooler. There's a regular cooler and then the grown folks cooler, and the kids know which cooler to pull from.
That's it.
The kids
It's the
know.
one with the little with a straw in it. The little pouch.
Yeah, right,
the little
right.
pouchy.
They
Okay.
know.
Until you 15, you gonna get that pouch.
You gonna get that pouch. You be 17 years old drinking Capri Sun. You ain't allowed to have no pop. You didn't pay for this Fago. Hey y'all, it's been real. Make sure we're not shouting you out. I don't care. We are not shouting out our fake. She about to be like that person that showed up to the concert with their own mic. Like I'm the third. I'm the sixth temptation. Remember when David Ruffin kept showing up to shows?
Ain't nobody come see you, Otis.
Anybody come to see you, Otis? Hey, we love y'all. Have a great night. Check us out next week for Sunday night service. Play my theme music.